What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are getting prepped a little bit to start hitting for the off season. No swinging yet, but a lot of mental work, a lot of things, just talking about what's going to make me the best player that I can become. So we're just going through a lot of details on swing thoughts, structure of the swing, and things that are going to make me have a successful season. So brought in Dustin Kelly, our Cubs hitting coach, Logan Brumley, somebody that I work closely with personally. We're over here at Maven with my buddy Tyler Krieger, just going over all the things that it's going to take for me to have a successful 25 season.
And then he would lift the foot. Versus in 23, they worked on like putting the bat on the shoulder as like a drill.
And it's the same thing we did 2 years ago when we were talking about the
row thing.
Yeah.
The thought process was right, but the execution
your
wasn't
feel,
right.
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I think if we concentrate kind of the accuracy of, okay, where do I want to be? Top hand leverage. How am I getting to that leverage? Elbow, wrist, moving the same.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those key points, and maybe
it's really early. You have so much time still left, and then it just continues.
It's got to go
back.
somewhere, and the only way to go
it just
is behind
continues
it.
to go back, and then it gets behind you, and then that's when it gets super stretched, and now you're just in a bad spot.
There's not like a
There's not a ton.
abundance of hitters that are doing
Yeah.
this, but is there other creative ways where, are there guys that like reverse tip, right? Like you have a guy that like lays the bat back so they relax it this way when they pick up, and then they kind of cock it as they go. Like that's another style,
Right.
but it's like the whole principle is like, can we get this elbow and that knee to like sync up?
That's what it is, and
You
I think
know?
like we've seen him do that like really good at times.
Mhm.
So like I don't necessarily think that you have to copy somebody.
No,
I think that you
Right.
know like that I can make that move. We just got to figure out like how do you want to start?
It's figuring out
And
the
when does
feel
it-
of how I need to
When
do
does it need to start?
Well,
to
because
go do it?
you know, I'm thinking about other guys that, like, who else starts with their, one I just thought is Cattell Marte does a little bit. I know he's a switch, but I wonder if most switch guys.
has had the most
Yeah,
success.
say Oscar does it because
When to go?
Because remember, I was like, I need to get him like here first, you know.
Yeah.
But like we'd look, and it would be like,
Would even go back.
you know, it's like they go like that instead of getting them.
It's like hold this angle,
Yeah.
and then that angle.
Well, and I wonder too.
that angle stays. As
I
we
wonder
move.
too at times of like, can you aim that bat? Messing around with, that was pretty smooth, not gonna lie. Like having like messing around with like, does it need to be a little bit like more up and flat like this to where there's actually a cocking action that occurs? Because sometimes I'll get them like down here and it's like, from here,
you can't pump from down there.
no, like they would just kind of go.
I think two things. I think it's developing some rhythm here as far as finding that, because I don't see you as a 1-2 guy as far as 1-2. I just don't. Now, I'm not saying we can't do something like that, but the times that we've kind of done a bigger move where it's like you kind of want like sort of one rhythm to get to a spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just in my experience watching you. I think the other thing is creating sort of a stop with this arm. I think is important. It goes back to what you guys said. So it's like, okay, this can get here on its own, but if we sort of have a, sort of a curb in place for it, where it's like, okay, I know the leverage of my top hand is going to allow me to use both hands to get to the right spot. I like the body move for you.
Yeah.
As far as, and I do think that you're more of a stack vertically to go into posture than you are like a Riley that has to set it here and go.
Yeah.
I think the times that you set this early, it jets back here, and it's almost like you fight sort of gravity by getting here, and it sort of ends up being a hang and a collapse.
And we have to figure out is like, where do we want it to start? and how big do we want it to be?
Well,
Because obviously I don't want it to turn into movie, like holding that angle, front knee to front elbow.
I think
with, like
everything's
a
front
little
related.
bit of a cock.
I do too.
Like the top hand has like that cock feel that you had in September, and it's like these things work together. Like if you could do that like 500 times in a row, literally sitting in a chair like this, going boom.
I agree.
That's the move. There's no backside.
How this is set up.
There's no backside, and it goes here, and it goes boom.
Because I think that there are times where, like he said, it's you can pick out hundreds of swings that are right. But I think there are times where this, like I said, I was kind of talking about providing that stop or that leverage, sort of control where this is going. I think there are times where this just kind of swings, where this just kind of gets here, and you don't really gain leverage in this to sort of help guide you to that spot.
Well, certain times when I felt like I was doing what we're talking
And
about.
you've never been a
There's, how many players are looking at your swings right now? You know what I mean? Of being like,
My
this
lefty
is what.
swing or
No, but like looking at that move and being like, you know what I mean? Like you can't copy other people all the time. You
no,
can-
no,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Like you can get some ideas, but it's like, I don't want you to think that you're going to like copy a certain move.
It does a little bit better job of like kind of like coming up off and then cocking down.
If you could just delay the cock, to me, like the cock needs to happen as you go forward, not right away.
Yeah.
Because then the
Yeah,
hands
'cause
get
watch
dead.
it. Yeah,
and
go
jump
back to
forward. It's like
Of like where it, so there's no straightening or going back like as you're moving forward, right? Once you start moving forward, these things just come right with you.
You're saying they should or they are?
They are, right? So there's no back anymore now. Like as you start moving forward,
They're
these
coming
things are
with-
coming with you, like they're starting to return up, and that's where it is.
right, that little like hold move,
Yeah. It doesn't turn into
stride
that
separate,
one.
right.
Yeah, exactly. Like
No
we're all
stride
talking
separate,
or
yeah.
10.
Forward, like right there, it's trying to like fight up a little bit, so I don't see it as much. It's like this little move,
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So that's what kind of helps.
It's
hold
yeah.
you.
I'm staying cocked as I'm moving
was gonna say,
forward.
you're holding
As
it.
soon as he picks up, I go. So it's like I'm ready to hit now. You know what I mean?
All it looked like was a little bit like what DK mentioned yesterday, like the hanging, like you kind of hang there, so you're not like loading forward as the legs getting under.
Well, and I think that obviously is what causes a little bit of inconsistency because I got ready. Doesn't matter how I get ready. I could be like this as long as I'm like in this spot at the right time. Like that's what matters. And I think we're just trying to figure out the best way to get to that point more consistently. Since he's a feeling like I'm in a spot to swing causes me a lot of issues. And this year I was never able to feel a consistent pickup, loading, thought or point or cue or whatever. You know what I mean? And so that's why, like, if we were to look at a bunch of things throughout the year, in September, like this was towards the end of August, it even looked different than that. But it was because I just started so early that I was just picking my leg up super early. I was able to at least get to some point where I could hit.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I think
like what drills have you seen that fix that in the past? Like, what's the solution? I guess.
See, I
you know?
think part of the hard part is, and he kind of alluded to this, was I think the upper body was in such a better position that year that there wasn't really much of a fix for that. You know what I mean? Like that was already kind of set. This how I was, like my stance. The biggest difference was just the connection of these two. Right, but this was already like really good.
Yeah, that allows you to make one adjustment and
Right, for it to go off.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of like we've done and thought through so many different things now that like kind of making it back to ABCs of the setup in general from the stance of like, all right, I need to be a little bit more like forward thinking with my energy and making sure that like taking it slow is like, okay, I got some good like energy going into my back foot, but I'm gonna preset this front side to pick up.
Yep.
And then you combine that with like not being standing up, but a little bit more of like a hinge here and making sure that these are kind of like up and tighter.
So the setup is number one.
I think
get the setup right.
It's always going to be process with us,
Yeah.
especially.
Get the setup
But
right.
the thing is, we know the stages and the sort of, in essence, the drill sets that got you to those stages. And I think, at times you just have to revisit some old fields in terms of, remind yourself how you cued it. But I think the newest, or the sort of the theme going into this early part of the off season is more about sort of rebuilding that field. And then the second thing is just a little bit more awareness, because that's what's changed. You're a lot more aware of where things are.
Right.
Where this time it was more like, hey, let's get to this setup and feel it.
So then as I go forward, you know what I mean?
That was good.
I do a great demonstration.
Yeah, you're a good demo guy. Big demo guy.
Huge
Starts
demo
with
guy.
that.
But you
And
can, you can make that move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
You've done it a million times.
I
It's
remember,
how do we hold you accountable to not allowing you to get outside of what that first
this
standard
framework
move
that we're
is?
talking about.
And it's,
I know what it's been like when it was really good, and we've obviously looked at it, and it's like how do we recreate that? And how is if that is the golden circle for me, right? If that is what we're comparing everything to, making sure that we're in a way doing that,
Right.
comparing video to when we felt like it was at its best.
we're just
Am I doing those same principles?
we're just taking pieces.
I'm really good at drill work, but it's the full thing getting put together is what at times is well, this isn't adding up. The work that I'm doing isn't really showing up because I'm not sequencing right to begin with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For whatever word you want to use,
I'd much rather be in that position, right? Of setting the standard with the setup and then working off that,
Mhm.
as opposed to trying to fix something that's happening as you're moving forward or as you're starting your swing.
Mhm.
It's I think we're starting in the right spot. It's because you're athletic enough, you've got a good enough swing that if we get you in a right spot every single time and you start in the same spot every single time,
Yeah.
then the rest of that rolls downhill.